Hello everyone, and welcome to another World of Sasquatch. Today's episode is being recorded on 5/18/25. We're here at the Spirit Lake this morning with Chad Wagner, and Joanna wants to hang out off camera here. She thinks she's creepy looking, so I will humor her at this point. So it's basically camping out here, folks. So you use your imagination. But anyway, this is actually quite interesting. There's a tree formation that's right over here. That I'll get some pictures of it to wait till daylight to include here. And there are beings that seem to come and go from this large tree formation. It's a trunk, but there is it has a potential to be a big power piece. You know, if you wrap it in copper and all this. And the Fae are usually all over it. And normally Fae don't like things that are dead. Sometimes there's another type of Fae that actually interacts, that deals with like tree stumps and decaying matter and things of that nature. You knew them as Ben Orkfoil's people. They were called the Dakik. They were a type of Fae that would deal with cycles of life and death. Quite interesting, and I feel they're around out here. If you saw them, they would look like a leaf blowing. You really wouldn't be able to tell it was one of them. Like you just see one of them blowing in the wind and go, it's a leaf. So, in actuality, they would look kind of like a mix between if you saw them from under, their actual form, it looked like a mix between a bug and a turtle, sort of. So, and a fairy, yes, I understand. You're a fairy, yes. Okay. But I know was it the forest people that, of course, this is World of Sasquatch, but one of your people are more than welcome to talk for this episode. Are the forest people going to speak, or is this going to be one of Ben Orkfoil's people? Let's see here. Interesting. He said, how about Ben Orkfoil himself? So backstory, we brought him through on GIC, brought him through on the lifting back when we were in Arizona, back in Granville and Prescott Valley. He was talking about different toxins, different poisons, how it's harmful to use different herbicidal toxins, all this other stuff. It was the elemental alien war he was referring to in that recording. So, okay. It's really interesting because he's so small. When he does the channel, he hangs out on the back of my head, like right here, like he's hugging the back of my skull. So he's only about that big. So I know this is the World of Sasquatch, but the Sasquatch are acquiescing to the Fae at the moment. So, okay, I can what? Oh, I don't have to hold this up here like forest people prefer that. He doesn't care where I have it. Okay, so. Oh, I forgot to open. I now open this circle to true benevolence with no conflicting agendas of this moment in time. I nearly forgot that, guys. So I go ahead and do the law of one, and we'll get that going.
Okay. We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. I pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda, so that we may have this conversation in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent or mischievous beings to be swept away, so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say, so be it.
So be it. Okay. Yeah, he said we were forgetting something, and that would be good. So, okay. Now, Ben Orkfoil, you can come in. interesting. I used to hang out in your plum tree there in Granville, but that was not my only entry point, mind you. However, here on Spirit Lake, my people, the Dakik, can feel safe to come and go, and we utilize the tree formation to come through. You're seeing elements of our faces in the wood. See, trees can be portals when they're alive, and as a being passes through, will leave its mark forevermore. As he saw on a closet door one time that was made of shades of even little thin plywood, there was a formation on one of his father's closets that looked like an alien. The big eyes had almost like a football-shaped head. Is because it was blurring from dimension to dimension, where like some things you think are ghost formations, like with the wispy, are actually dimensional or frequency variations from your point to its point. He always cites a Doctor Who reference where he was looking for a person that was caught in a pocket dimension, and they would appear as a ghost in a picture. But he said it's actually this, and it was a human that was caught in a pocket dimension, but the frequency was off. This is what people are seeing. This is a truth. And it was a paranormal investigation episode. This is a truth. This is definitely a truth. And when on that closet door, he was just seeing the echoes and formations of what went through that tree. Because it was even particle, some types of, not particle board, but it had a thin wood on the end that came from originally a tree. This is no different. This is an entry point for a group of fae like myself and a few others that crawl along it, and also animals like bugs and such that hide within it. And they love to utilize it to come in, and you could say it's more of a, how can I put this, a node, you would say, or communications piece. And my people will come through and utilize this in this way. We deal with, as he says, decaying cycles of life and death. This would be, say you have new growth in the spring. Say you have, as the leaves and the blossoms bloom and going into summer, going into fall, and then eventually winter. We deal with the natural cycles of decay. Our people were brought into the fray during the time of the Great Seeding to watch over the cycles of life, death, and decay. In the fact of nature, not necessarily like bigger, like dead animals and things of that nature. Ghouls were integrated in later on from Neanderthalic consciousnesses to take care of bigger death and decay. But of course, they're more of a demon class. Ours is more plant life. There's some little animal life like bugs, but we deal with those cycles. In the time of the seeding, the Great Seeding, we were needed for that particular task. I could not mention this before in our past recordings because you all did not know what the Great Seeding was. You knew life had been seeded, you had been shown, but you didn't know the specifics surrounding the Great Seeding. Now I can come in and give more information. Just know the fae around your house, some of them have succumbed to some poisons in the area. Some people use sprays and such. We spoke about this long ago, where sprays like Roundup and the like prevent the cycles of growth and decay. And others like Agent Orange and such would do the same, and bug sprays and whatnot. This is what we spoke of before. This, however, is a slightly different conversation because some other fae types might succumb to different energies, different frequency tampering, or intrusions, or oppression, or possession. And also if nuclear energy is present. Certain types of gnomes, certain types of elemental forms can absorb the isotopes and become something other than what they once were. Is it reversible? Absolutely it is. Leprechauns also get a virus or a disease called density inversion, where they change into something other than they once were. Their eyes glow red and they become something other than themselves. Either transmuting them back into nature as also a demon form you'd cut the head off, or transmuting them with light will ultimately cure this disease because they're in a different frequency. This also applies to, it's a type of bound being, where a bound being will attack you until the binding is released. It's more of a curse or a spell. It falls more into the old curse, plague, spell type situation. This point over here, this is something that is cherished by us, and we will give further guidance on this property on how it can proceed into eventually what you turn it into. You were talking about wrapping it in copper last night and all of these things, turning it into a big orgone piece. Even orgone pieces near it are absolutely welcome. So, you have questions for me?
Yeah, Chad, do you have any regarding the tree?
Nope. I think it's impressive that they take an interest in that tree stump that we put there, and what about the hollowness inside of it?
Hollowness is subjective because it could be an entryway, a doorway. Just like, would you consider a door to be hollowness or an entry? Or ingress, egress, as you would say. So you don't always want a bunch of active portals, but at the same time, it is essentially a power point or a node by which my people can come and go. And it is a dead tree, so it deals in cycles of life and death. The only other fairy type that would not like decaying things would be variations of Aluzi. They tend to complain a lot that there are things around that smell like us. But we tend to be the ones to enrich the environment. The Aluzis may play with your chimes from time to time. They may enrich the energetic environment, but it is really the Fae, it's our Fae variation that bring life and rebirth. And no, Isaac, we do not play with poop. Thank you. We are not dung beetles. Thank you. Even though technically they do a similar job, I must say, but they were created more by the bug races and the great seeding. But dung beetles, eventually scarabs, and in Egypt they were revered because it was an insectoid species that actually was being shown there, a beetle-like one. With this, even though there were some bad things that happened, then you were also seeing some actual species being shown. And there was even an image of an Eben type being near Osiris, giving him homage, giving Enlil an homage. These were real depictions that you probably won't see too much because they were actual real images. But with this is a, how can I put it? You can say communication, but you're also feeling the vibration. There's the metal in there that's capturing the vibration of the energy. You're feeling the vibratory frequency, but you're also feeling that there's speaking going on through it. Very much like it's basically a communication node, whereas the energy courses up through it and down into the ground. Very much like a plug or a circuit, but let's just say a circuit of nature. Just like you have your mycelial network with mushrooms, you have with trees, you have a communication network. You're hearing all the animals. You're hearing all the birds, frogs, everybody. You're seeing even the bugs. Even your skeeters are part of this. You're seeing this. It runs through the ground. This energy of this portal here, vortex, runs through the ground and resonates within the soil itself. Resonates to the point where the soil itself, then transplanted, could bring about the same energy somewhere else. This is what is going on here. This particular tree that you have placed here, and he placed the rocks around it. Rocks usually mean a type of fairy circle, but this invokes our presence because we are dealing with the cycles of life and rebirth and enrichment. So I hope this answered.
Yes, and frequently when I'm mowing out here, maintaining the property, I'll mow around patches of wildflowers and in honor of the Fae and other forest people, and I hope that we share the joy of the flowers and everything.
Yes, this is appreciated. They are also not the only people that can say they're of the forest, because would not anything that occupies the forest be a person of the forest?
True.
So they are basically calling me to task on that one, but they are the forest people. Yes, but we are people that occupy the forest. So you could say it in reverse like that to differentiate, but I fail to see the differentiation in the terms because it's the same thing, but that is just them and us poking each other. But this environment, when you go around the flowers, you are sensing our people about, even though it's impossible for you to harm us with your machinery. There are other Fae type that are in your frequency that probably would get hurt by something like this. Like they found little Fae, when that were in trees that some people have accidentally harmed and such. Those are ones that were within the frequency at that time. Those are some of the more pains in the butt ones too that like to harass people and like to have nests in trees and such like that. It's an Illusi variation, and the other ones are like the little naked people flying around. That's the Illusi where they can grow in size to be like a human size. But with this, we are in a different frequency to where you're not going to harm us, but you going around those patches of the flowers, which is appreciated, you're sensing our presence there. And the only thing that could harm us is toxins, because certain ones leach into other dimensional frequencies. And at the top of that list would be nuclear fusion and nuclear power. Where it would reach into our frequency, it would infect. Or that's why those explosions reach into the multiple layers, or how. With this, you're sensing our people's presence, and therefore you're going around us, which is appreciated because we sometimes hang out on the ground. Though we like to go up in the trees and hang out in the bends, and no, Isaac, that is not just the crotch of the tree. Thank you. We do not hang out in the crotch. No, that is you. But more often than you want to admit. But in this, we hang out in the bend there. We heckled each other when we were in Arizona, unbeknownst to them. So this is us openly heckling him back. We are here now. I came through a portal through the state of New York, up in your Bronx and also Queens areas. There are some power points up there that are being masked by some of the, no offense to people, but more of the slummish areas there. That was once a major power point or something like this at one time. Now we see we can come and go. Also, we were coming and going from Arizona, but we can come and go from here as well. You would see us. You have seen us from time to time. There's tree fae, of course, that run up and down the trees. You were seeing them this morning where they're hugging and kissing each other. You saw them. They do this. They'll float in the water and go la 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 la, and hug and kiss each other. Now, our people don't do things like that. Those little guys are more like kind of like in your Maleficent movies where they were dancing around in nature and hugging each other. That's them. You were seeing them, and they like to float in the water and play. And you were also seeing some turkey buzzards yesterday that were doing very much that. Large groups of them, whereas they were actually just playing, as you say. This is why they were happy. They are also, those animals, again, are in communications with beings like ourselves. And the forest people. Over in that area, though, there was a bit of interference from outside negative forces over there. They weren't really aquatic reptilians in the regular sense, but they were kind of like not the ones you guys have encountered, not those uber powerful aquatics. He calls them atwatics. That's what Richie and him call it. But these guys were more like a smaller creature from the Black Lagoon look, about maybe this big. They were a little annoying, only a couple of them. They're a variation of the other reptilian, the aquatic reptilian. These were slightly different variants, but yes, I know, I said the word variant. But anyway, they're people, but you get the idea. But with this, the reason, you also got annoyed is because they were spraying toxins. And that was also aimed at beings like ourselves as well. Not just the forest people. The toxins would be akin to when a friend of his saw at Disneyland there was a demon crushing flowers that were scared. That is the elemental alien war currently going on, where also the demon thoughts of your government, your chemtrailing, all of these, psionics, all of it, HARP, all of it, do damage to ourselves within frequency and the frequency of the poisons, because they inhibit the natural cycles of life and death and decay, the growth, life, death, and decay. But this is the things that we are concerned about. You're not going to see that over Spirit Lake because you have a bunch of the Incredible Hulks around making sure that doesn't take place. They're not green or anything, but you get the idea. But this is what's currently going on.
Okay. Do you use the portal to transport yourself from just planet Earth to different places, or different other planets, or what?
Not necessarily other planets, but the other worlds in the world within worlds, called the Introverse, and other dimensional spaces where these forest people come and go from. We come and go from the portal in and out. We can create our own little, like you would call them micro portals, like the little strings, and pop in and out. Even though that can prove dangerous to a protected zone at times, they have asked that we use the main one, or utilize like some of the little tree formations, because they have this as a protected zone. So they ask that we utilize the main junction, or find a way to have people stay here. So we chose the latter. So this is why we hang out here. But we don't go to different planets per se. We go in and out of dimensional frequencies and other frequency differentials and variations in harmonics, frequency values. If you saw one of us openly, like in this frequency, again, we would look like a leaf from blowing, like a dead blowing leaf. But then if you were to pick one of us up, you would see our head and torso. We look like a bug, but we are not a bug. It's just how we were composited together in that way, because we were created a long time ago, but then began to take the job very seriously, and we became our own people after a while. Very much like when the Jewish people conjured golems at one point, they became their own people. Very much like some of the Egyptians conjured some cat beings from another dimension. When Atlantis and all that fell, they began to be their own species after all, protector beings. They wanted the landscape. It's very similar in our case.
What do you eat?
We actually, let's see, how can I describe this? But no, we don't eat energy or anything like that. We do eat some of the plant life and some of the bacterial formations around. Like you see some of the mold formations on the trees and such. And also some bugs, like you were telling that funny story about the moss and the chiggers within the car seats and everything. Like Ford stuffed the car seats with the moss around. It was somebody that came down here. We were around in those times as well. It was somebody that came down here, saw something that looked like it could be upholstery, and they just started ripping it down. The chigger bugs that are in there, we do eat them from time to time as well. and some of the mosses as well that you see hanging on the trees down here. Further north, they don't have that, but they have certain similar bugs and things of that nature. But also, for the most part, we do consume the dead thing, like how vulture would.
Right.
And so it's because we do find the other things, but for the most part, it's more the dead versions of those. And to us, it would mean like you would call it a smorgasbord. To you, it would be gross and disgusting. So just different strokes for different folks, but that's how we view it.
Right. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
How about the physical water, or what we call physical water here in Spirit Lake, and the clay mud in it? Do you feel that there's healing properties in, for example, the clay?
Yeah. Yes, I do. If you were to take some of that outside of here, it would add an energetic property to wherever you took it, just like the Valley of Fire, Red Rock Canyon, and Sedona dirt that he placed here. That added an energetic quality from another power point. That is encouraged to do things like this. Or he took it also to the beach, like your Outer Banks, and put some of it over there, because there's a power point out there. That's why everybody gathered around the near the Wright Brothers Monument out there. So it's essentially the same, or your lifeguard house, the Wright House. It's right in that general vicinity, where some ETs come and go from that side, Mer come and go from that side. This the clay here, if you were to take it and turn it into actual, like, say, pottery, if you were to take and take a vase from that, or a cup, this would become a power object. Even putting liquids into it, say if you made a coffee mug out of it, which you could, it would start to destroy some of the toxins in it. You add shungite to the mix, and it's going to really rev it up. So if you ever wanted to make anything, like in a kiln or something like that, or some kind of plate to set things on, the crystals on and such, this would be the way to go, because it's supercharged. And the clay is already piezoelectric. You add the portal energy on top of that, and it's radiating that. It's entangled with that. So you could conceivably make things with the clay.
Cool. And how do you feel about fire, like burning some of the undergrowth now and then for fire prevention in the woods here? Does that affect you, or how do you feel about that?
Fire is just fine with us. We prefer, yes, because it is a cycle of growth and rebirth, you see. Yes, a forest burns, but new growth comes with it, you see. So this does not bother us. It might bother others out there, but they can just stand firm and just, you would say, hold their horses, because the forest people are fine with it too, as long as you don't burn the whole place down. They would be very upset if you did that, but we would be upset. But this allows new growth. You see, this is why certain forests would catch fire. Others are unnaturally doing it with dew weaponry and artificial sources like gasoline, matches, and such right now. But with your version of this, you are allowing new growth. Even though we are consuming the old growth, other species, like some fairy types, will enjoy seeing that decay being consumed, from beings other than by just us. But the fire is what he would call the almighty cleanser, and this cleanser then allows the passageway for new growth and new energies, you see. So.
Right. Cool. Well, once when I was constructing the Spirit Lake project in the last couple decades, something came to me. May have been you people that said a swamp is a place where old things go to die and new things are reborn. So I guess that kind of says the same thing.
Yes,
yeah.
You are correct. A swamp is definitely where things go to die, but other forms of life are born, and also forms of life are reborn again in places like a boggy swamp. You notice that it preserves things as well, like your peat moss. If somebody would throw a corpse in or something, it would preserve things of that nature. It preserves history. It's a record.
Yeah.
Just like they found recently a person that was millions of years old, that was actually in a bog and his flesh was still intact.
Yeah.
At the very bottom, he had been down at the bottom for a long time, and came up to the surface, and was your own history was presented back to you. You see, a record. You call it the Akashic record, but it manifests in forms sometimes such as that.
I don't think we'll be trying that today with either one of us.
No,
but,
I would not recommend this unless that is your thing and you're into that particular, you would call it a fetish, but no.
No, we're not into that.
No,
So,
I would not suspect so.
cool.
Any questions?
No, you have any more, Chad, for him?
Not at this moment. Well, yes, how about sound? For example, wind chimes and the birds singing. What are your feelings about that? I feel it's very important for everybody. What are your feelings about bird songs and also human music?
Yes, human music and bird song go hand in hand, you see. Whereas when you create music out here, poetry too, it's an energetic vibratory music as well, because there's words that go into the music, depending on where you are at. Of course, if somebody's also in trauma and pain, they're making like art pieces and sound and music from that as well, which it's still from the heart space, regardless of where it comes from. Shadow work, it's still part of this. The bird song, they are showing you the peace and serenity and the balance of nature and nature balance out here. Like that bird that's singing right now is calling to others, calling to a mate, calling to others that are around. Just like you heard earlier, the frogs and toads were singing as well. They do this quite often, and they add to the vibratory frequency value ambiance of the area. You even hear some off this way. Even if your woodpeckers would start pecking at the wood, you're hearing that sound frequency. Your cardinals making that noise. They are whistling within and singing within these particular vibratory frequencies that create a chorus. It's a choir. You see, without that choir, you have no vibration here. You see, you might have the vortex, but everything else around it collapses into dust and nothing. You see, that ceases to be just cycles of life, rebirth, rebirth and decay. It ceases to be that if you don't have the song included.
So potentially, the portal or vortex here could be responding to light, frequency, song, art, poetry,
Yes.
all of that, and we could affect the nodes or one of the nodes of the planet, which evidently this is, through positive input in this area.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and it would begin to grow that further. Even despite what your neighbor did with the deforestation, which did not please us at all. In fact, Fae do not like this and that, and they get displaced. And they all came here. That is what they did in the surrounding areas. Now, if at some point you were able to acquire that, he was suggesting Japanese cherry blossoms. This would please us greatly because some of our brethren exist within those over in Japan. And even the ones in Washington, D.C. have a few of ours, that row of they showed in your new Captain America movie with that spot where they battled there with the Red Hulk. That is that spot. We occupy that, even though it's near Washington, D.C., it's a cesspool, we get it. But you need a nature's balance there. You notice I'm not trying to plug products. So I'm switching the words around. So yeah, no balance of nature plugging today, but except for the real kind. But Japanese cherry blossoms, even the petals themselves, will help create an ambiance. And even if you guys were discussing creating like a little hobbit village for people, that would be pretty cool because we would be able to interact with people that way. To replant the trees, that would be encouraged as well, different types. But Japanese cherry blossoms, all of that would be encouraged too.
Great. Well, the intent of Spirit Lake and my interaction with it has been to create a space where humans can reconnect with nature, and certainly humans have gotten a long ways away from realizing that they are part of nature. So hopefully this will create space here for humans to come and recognize their place in nature and the beauty of nature inside and outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, this is our intention as well. You're not just hearing the forest people, you're hearing beings such as ourselves as well. Also, your holly trees, the ones you were told not to remove, these are extreme protectors as well. They will keep a lot of pests away from you, both in bug form and in energetic form. There's certain types of life forms that don't like those being around. Very much like your plant demons, as he called them. They're actually something, a throwback from your Jurassic and Cretaceous periods that were captured by different life forms like the Anunnaki and Orions and such, and used now. They're the ones that are allergic to pine pitch and tar water and such. There are other life forms that are allergic to holly bush and the trees themselves. So this is why they use these around Christmas, where you see with that there is a protective quality to it. They started the wreath of it because there's a protective quality keeping away evil spirits and the like. So those will start to keep away like other lichen life forms and other not so friendlies. Let's just put it that way. And if you grow, he recommended wolfsbane and nightshade. Those would take over, and it would change the energetic dynamic. I do not completely recommend his assessment at this time for that, because it would start to change things too rapidly. It would work in a different area, but here everything is in balance at the moment. Ooh, that is getting a head right. But anyway, this is what I came to say. Do we have further questions?
No.
That sounds good. I appreciate that. Yes.
All right.
And yeah, thank you for what you do here at Spirit Lake, because I realize there's many entities involved in the creation of Spirit Lake, and you're a very important part of it. Thank you. Thank
you very much. Some of our people have moved from the upper New York area and come down this way. There's some creepy things going on in that state with experiments like with your Canadian fires that sent the smoke over New York and the smoke turned green and orange. It's not supposed to do that. That's chemicals at work. That's going after our people. That's going after those that live below. But also that the ones, some of the others, the reptilians from below are doing things there. They call that the gathering, like in the Highlander. It's really dramatic and stupid, in my opinion. But some of our people are migrating further south. Now we have found another home to come to. So, this is all I came to say. Thank you for having me on. The sunlight, though good, is disrupting the way he's visualizing here. So, it's very helpful to himself and yourself, though, with the vitamin D and such. But the energy is becoming very rapidly charged by your sun, or by the sun, and by the vortex. It actually responds to sunlight, and it responds to the light of the stars and night as well. Night and day have different energies, just like life, rebirth, death, and decay. But it doesn't make any of it bad. So, this is what I will leave you with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is getting a tad bright right there. I just got the light in my face. Last night it was the fire from this spot, now the sun. So, it's actually quite nice out here at the moment. There's very few bugs. So, yeah, like I said, he would look like one of, kind of like one of these, sort of. With like the leaves with the points around, or like more like this shape actually. Well, he would look like more like this shape. So might have just picked up one of them right now and never known it. So this has actually been an interesting episode of the World of Sasquatch here at Spirit Lake. I don't know if either one of you have anything to add before we take it out.
No, not at all.
Okay,
that's good.
All right. Yeah, so thanks to Ben Orkfeld. It's been a long time since we've spoken to him, since we were in Granville there. So, all right. Thank you all for watching this episode. I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.